This is the wheel stand. I invented it 16 months ago. It's a wheeled kickstand for the one wheel, which is this giant electric skateboard, super fun to ride, but a nightmare to carry indoors, and my invention solves that problem. I made this video about it, but I never sold the product or the rights. So you can imagine my surprise when 1 year after inventing the thing, I received this email telling me that someone was selling my product on Amazon.
Ready for this? Bruh. There it is. The AI replaced me with a woman.
I was so curious to find out if someone had actually paid a factory to illegally manufacture my invention, so of course I had to buy one. Little did I know that buying this knockoff would uncover a scam that is so much bigger than the wheel stand.
Okay, so this is way worse than I thought.
A scam that would light a fire under me to make one of my favorite inventions yet and get revenge on this thief. But I'm getting ahead of myself because, to my surprise, 1 week after buying the knockoff...
So I was fully expecting to get scammed. I didn't think anything was gonna arrive. I thought they were just gonna take my money and that would be the end of it. But yesterday, this arrived.
It was hard to imagine what was gonna be inside this box because, as far as I could remember...
I don't think I even put these files online.
And it took weeks for me to design this extremely niche invention, so it was hard to believe that someone else went through all that work to redesign the wheel stand from scratch, let alone pay tens of thousands of dollars to set up an injection molding line.
Like, is it even gonna fit the one wheel? Oh my gosh, wait a second, what?
Inside of this box was the last thing I expected.
Did I? I don't think I put this online.
A perfect 3D printed wheel stand.
Dude, what the heck?
As I would soon discover, perfect is a strong word.
Oh no! Okay, there's some other things in the box too we haven't even looked at yet. According to the picture, there are wheels.
Obviously, these are not the same wheels as what they show in the listing. They did include just barely enough cheap hardware so I could mount the wheels, which couldn't really rotate because they're too narrow, and they only included one bushing, which is useless. On top of all of that, they made the axle holes huge.
There's not enough clearance for these wheels to actually roll. Wheels do not touch the ground.
Okay, Morley, hold on a second. So you're telling me that the 3D print doesn't match the included hardware, there's an extra 3D printed piece that's useless but feels vaguely familiar, and the wheel stand looks exactly like yours?
It looks like it's a lot. Did I put the files online? Like, am I misremembering? Oh no. I did put the first one online. Oh! Okay, I stand corrected.
Well, that explains the giant wheel holes. My wheel stand uses much bigger bolts, which also require these little spacers to center the wheels, which I included when I posted the files online.
Oh, they printed my washer file, which is specifically for these wheels. So they just downloaded that, printed one of them, not even two, and threw in some random wheels.
I was confused because I made 2 videos about the wheel stand. The first one had to be printed from an expensive carbon fiber reinforced nylon to be anywhere near strong enough.
This is definitely PLA too. This is gonna instantly break.
In the second video, I improved the design and made it so it could be printed from a cheaper material that anyone can print. So it was kind of funny and confusing to me that they stole the first, worse version. But anyways.
All right, so the question is this thing at all strong? So you're on your one wheel, you get off at the grocery store, you go, let me go shopping, uh-oh. It doesn't actually roll, it slides on the plastic. You put it up, waiting in the checkout line, and I lean a little. Obviously.
The knockoff instantly broke, but that was under my full body weight. I wonder how it would do under less extreme conditions.
Oh no!
How much did you pay for this?
$42.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, what do you notice about it?
What is happening here?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, wow. Nothing about this would work.
It's not even 3D printed well. Look at that infill. That's like 30% infill.
Oh my god, you're a pro. How do you think they figured out the design?
Didn't you like post your model in the video?
I did. I actually forgot I did that.
But sharing my files does not give this person the legal right to sell a cheap, dangerous knockoff of my invention without my permission. This thief should not be getting away with this. So we're gonna begin the revenge arc with a good old-fashioned scathing review. But while that's awaiting approval by Amazon, which definitely feels like a conflict of interest, I dug out the wheel stand 2.0, which I really liked using, but it's been sitting on a shelf for months ever since it broke at the mounting points.
I don't know if you can tell, but this actually snapped. This was the weak point on this one. This was way better than the original. But it's funny, I've been like wanting to improve this.
And nothing motivates me to fix a project like someone stealing it and exposing all of its biggest flaws. It's been over a year since I made both wheel stands. Back then, I didn't have this garage workshop. My wife and I had just moved out of our van and into a studio apartment, and 3D printing felt like the perfect way to make fully realized projects with very little space. But as the saying goes, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And I started to over-rely on 3D printing.
It's funny how much design work is literally this, just staring at the thing.
Looking back, the wheel stand was always fighting the inherent weaknesses of 3D printing, but good design chooses the methods that best fix the problem.
That's all adhesive.
And from the very beginning, the problem I was trying to solve was taking the one wheel into stores. Now that's not really a problem for most vehicles. For most vehicles, you just lock them outside.
So you might think you can simply put a bike lock through this handle here, but the space is so narrow, you actually can't fit. Oh, actually.
Okay, not sure how that's the first time I noticed this. Not every bike lock will fit. I'll link this one in the description, and it does kind of tear up the handle, but there's a lot more space on the other side of the one wheel. The next time I went to Home Depot, instead of throwing my board in a shopping cart like usual, I field tested this locking method. This almost felt like the perfect solution. I didn't have to lug the one wheel through the store. It was safe and secure outdoors while I did my shopping, except to actually transport the chain lock.
It requires you have a backpack, and I don't want to have to always have a backpack whenever I'm riding the one wheel.
I wanted to build a solution for attaching a chain lock directly to the one wheel, so I could ride around with no backpack. The chain lock's directly attached to the one wheel, but it wouldn't interfere with riding. Then there's some sort of clip so I can detach it super fast and lock up the board. This was gonna require a complete disassembly of the one wheel and some creative engineering, because this thing does not have much spare room to add hardware, but I got some ideas. For now, I was just enjoying this super satisfying method for removing stubborn adhesive. This held on those plastic rail guards, but these feel kind of cheap, so as part of my mod, I'm gonna do a super cool custom paint job.
All right, so I'm thinking chain lock that goes along the rail. When it's not being used, if I could like lock it onto the rail so it's stretched out.
My idea is centered around this locking mechanism. It's basically a hook that grabs a chain link, so if I mount a D-ring to the side rail, I could lock the chain onto the board.
Few issues we're gonna have to figure out, but I think this could be like an amazing upgrade.
I wasn't quite sure how the rest of the lock would attach to the board, so I went up to the secret library to do some brainstorming. This has become one of my favorite places to sketch out ideas. In fact, over the past month, I've been starting my mornings in here with my journal, a quick meditation, and the sponsor of this video, AG1. AG1 Next Gen is a daily health drink that helps me start my mornings on the right foot. I've been really trying to focus on my health this year, but no matter how much I try, these projects can kind of take over my life, and before I know it, I'm grabbing pizza for lunch, crushing PB&Js at 10 p.m., but AG1 Next Gen brings balance and foundational nutrition to my life. It replaces the need for a multivitamin, probiotics, and more, filling common nutrient gaps with over 75 ingredients that support gut health, energy production, daily nutrients, and immune defense. Just one scoop in the morning with 8 to 12 ounces of cold water. I love really cold drinks, so I mix up mine with lots of ice, and I've especially been loving the tropical flavor.
Ooh, it's like one of those like tropical orange juice blends. Guava, pineapple, orange, passion fruit.
Through my link, get 3 AG1 travel packs and 3 free AGZ travel packs, plus free vitamin D3 and K2 and an AG1 welcome kit with your first AG1 subscription order. That chain lock from earlier goes with my bicycle, so I needed a new lock for the one wheel, but when I went to the bike store, all all of the new locks use this weird mechanism that locks around a post instead of a link, so they won't work with my design. Luckily, Amazon sells the old style kryptonite locks. The problem is now I have two of the exact same locks with the exact same keys. While I was waiting for my 1-star Amazon review to get approved and an upcoming call with a lawyer to discuss legal action we can take against this Amazon seller, I embarked upon an extremely unnecessary side quest to customize these keys so I could instantly tell them apart. This is probably the most complicated way to customize keys. I mean, I think the market has solved this problem, but sometimes it's not about doing things in the most efficient way possible. Sometimes it's just fun and rewarding to use all your tools and make something unique. Although there is something hilarious about a giant CNC making a tiny little engraving, and at first it didn't really seem like it worked, but on further inspection, I think the bit just kind of melted the plastic, and after some fine work with an ice pick and a scalpel, a little bit of sanding, quick coat of paint, more sanding, and a spritz of clear coat, I got two customized keys that I can instantly tell apart.
The benefit of needing to wait for parts to come in is it gives you time to second guess your ideas and come up with better solutions. So my original idea was to stretch the chain lock along one rail. That has a few problems. Number one, I'd have to cut it pretty short, so you'd only be left with this loop length, which loses flexibility for locking locations. But to maintain the length, I'm actually going to loop it around the fender. The natural end of the chain lands right here. That has an extra benefit of keeping the weight distribution symmetrical.
Now, the crux of my design was how to hold this end on the one wheel without the chain rattling all over the place. And it seemed like a good solution would be a spring coupled with a carabiner. I got a bunch of both because I wanted to test which combination provides the best latching action while maintaining the right amount of tension.
Oh yeah, that's great.
One reason I like shopping for supplies in person is it can actually help inspire your design. These little S-beaners were actually an impulse buy at the checkout, but this orange one ended up being perfect. One of the ends can stay permanently attached to the spring, which won't interfere with the other end clipping onto the chain.
Okay, I'm saying this now so I don't forget. I think the only way this is gonna work is if we attach the lock side pretty much as far forward as we can make it.
This is the only way that the other end of the lock still lands on the one wheel. Luckily, these just so happen to be areas of the side rail with nothing behind them. No battery, no motor controller, so as long as I'm careful, I'll be able to squeeze in the mounting hardware.
Let's void the warranty.
Back when I designed the original wheel stand, I don't think I was confident enough in my skills to tear apart my expensive electric skateboard that I barely understand, and I think that's part of the reason I tried to make a product to solve a problem. Instead of overcoming my fear of taking apart the one wheel and really modifying the thing, it was easier to design something 3D printable that I could just slap on the outside.
Right off. Yeah! That's what we want.
And it's not like this is a very complicated mod. The mechanics aren't too different from modifying skateboards when I was 14. And I can tell you that it just takes time and experience to build up the confidence to really dig into an intimidating project. But I think that's only partially true. Like right before I started tearing apart the one wheel,
I have no idea what I'm doing.
I think the real key is just doing it, just finding whatever it takes to get started on that intimidating project. And for me, that motivation was someone stealing my invention and exposing its fundamental flaws. But hey, it's still my invention, which they have no right to steal. Or at least I thought. I mean, it only seems fair, but I'm not a lawyer, so I called one up to get some clarity around this and develop a plan of attack.
Hey! What's up, dude?
This is Brian, and yes, you're reading that LinkedIn header correctly. He is a Harvard-educated lawyer.
Is this gonna get you disbarred?
I don't think so. I guess I'll give a big, this is not legal advice caveat. And I'll start by saying I would consult a copyright lawyer.
Okay, Brian's not technically a copyright lawyer, but he is a lawyer and one of my best friends. And I'm not gonna say no to free legal advice.
I took one semester of copyright law, and I was a pretty average student.
So the reason I wanted to talk to you is because as my lawyer friend, I wanted to ask if there's any legal action I could take.
I would say, yeah, I think you do have a claim because you don't have to register a copyright or anything like that. If you have intellectual property and you make something creative that is proprietary, you have intellectual property over that thing. And so somebody can't steal your intellectual property and sell it commercially without your permission to do so. But there is one caveat.
Is it the once you put it out in the public domain, it's like fair game?
No, that's not it. The one difference is that, or the one thing that would invalidate everything I'm saying is if this were not a creative artistic expression, if this were an actual functional invention, which I think that this is. So all of that stuff that I said was a lot of pretext to say that, like, if this were an art project, you would be great. However, because you put out the product that is a very functional invention into the universe, that's something that falls into the purview of patent law, right? And so you hear about like Alexander Graham Bell, and I think Alexander Graham Bell was the second guy to the telephone, but he was the first to the patent office, and that's why he is what we think of as the inventor of the telephone. And that's your problem here. You are Mr. Telephone. Let's say that his name was Morley Telephone. Morley Telephone, nobody knows who that guy is. Nobody's heard of Morley Telephone. And the reason for that is because Alexander Graham Bell was the first to the patent office. No, I don't think that you can really pursue them for anything because of the fact that it's a functional invention.
Caveat, here's another caveat for you. So it is obvious to me that what they sold was a 3D print of the 3D files that I posted online, and those were posted under a no commercial use license.
I wouldn't think that a no commercial use license translates to the same level of protection that you would get from a patent. That, like, there's a reason that patents exist, right?
I do think it's very lame to steal someone's invention and produce it badly and then also pass it off on your own. So I'm like, is there a way to make this person's life vaguely hellish?
I would say send the Morley bots out there to leave all the bad reviews.
And that's when things started to get interesting. As Brian suggested, I made posts on Instagram and YouTube asking people to leave negative reviews, and you guys showed up. Thank you to everyone who left a 1-star review, who reported the item as counterfeit. This guy even got on the phone with an Amazon customer service rep to absolutely roast the knockoff. At this point, my review still hadn't been accepted, but the Amazon listing did briefly show a 1-star rating with no text review, but this mysteriously disappeared within an hour, and people started commenting that Amazon was blocking new reviews due to unusual review activity, which is fair.
All right, it's looking sick, but this whole point, the whole reason we did this, it's now time to test it. All right, so step 1, we're gonna lock it to the D-ring. Nice. Look at that, dude. Heck yeah. We're gonna take the chain, wrap it, look at this, we're wrapping it around. And if I situated this right and I did the spring correctly, yeah!
This almost worked perfectly, and I say almost because it doesn't interfere with riding. It's super fast and easy to lock up, just like I wanted, but after a few minutes of riding, a big problem revealed itself. The chain tends to slip upwards as you ride, especially when you go over bumps, and I had to keep pushing it down or else it would slip off altogether.
Stay down.
While I worked on a solution, the drama with the stolen invention continued to evolve. Someone suggested that I return the knockoff, which seemed like a great idea, but this might have actually backfired because while I did get a refund, the listed reason is order canceled. I never canceled my order, and I'm guessing this lets the seller block my review from being posted because it's as if my order never happened, so I'm no longer a verified purchaser. Then I got this message, which changed everything.
Okay, so this is way worse than I thought. Someone just sent me a message. They looked at the seller page and it looks like they're selling way more stolen files than just mine. I'm gonna look into it when I get home, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of my friends are also getting their files stolen and sold by this person.
And it didn't take me long to find a product I recognized. Most of these, I'm guessing, were taken from free open source communities like Thingiverse, Printables, and MakerWorld, but this one is not free. It was designed by my friend Johannes, aka Gazaladra, and he actually sells his files. It's his business. I'm not saying that it's only harmful to steal files that the designer is monetizing. I wasn't planning on selling the wheel stand, but I am morally opposed to stealing someone's work without their permission and selling it. Especially if it involves selling a cheap version that doesn't even work as advertised, because that reflects badly on the designer and it hurts consumers. It's just bad all around. Which is why I am very satisfied with the outcome of this crowdsourced takedown, but before we get to that, I printed the final chain supporters out of a carbon fiber reinforced ASA. ASA is related to ABS. It has really good UV resistance, so it's perfect for outdoor applications. Since I'm only securing these with one screw, I added some double-sided tape to stop the pieces from rotating.
Ooh, that is great.
Unfortunately, this shifts the chain slightly backwards, so this spring would no longer work.
That's probably stretched too far.
Luckily, I picked up a bunch of different springs, and with the new chain securing pieces, I don't need a lot of tension to hold the lock in place, so a looser spring actually makes this whole thing easier to use.
This is awesome. You can also see that it keeps the lock away from the wheel and also more room for your hand.
Most importantly, it looks sick. And I guess second most importantly, the chain is rock solid now. There's no chance of it popping out of place or slipping up the fender while riding, and the locking experience is just so user-friendly. In fact, it's so good, thought I might as well shoot my shot one more time.
And you know, One Wheel, anytime you want to do a licensing call, just send me an email.
My main man Morley, what's going on?
What's up? I just wanted to let you know that it looks like the crowdsourced takedown worked. They seem to have gutted the Amazon listing.
Let's go! Oh my god. So what, is there any trace of the product left?
Yeah, and the seller is still selling other stolen files.
But if you've got a minute, go to the seller's page, there's a link in the description, and report a stolen product. Because this isn't really about me. It's about the hundreds of other designers who are getting their stuff stolen, who don't have an audience that will go to war on their behalf. If even a tenth of the people who watch this video file a report or even buy a stolen product and return it, I think we can get this seller banned from Amazon altogether. Quick side note, this person who claims to be a copyright attorney, they think I have a case. So if any Canadian IP attorneys out there want to take this on a contingency basis, send me an email. Thank you to everyone who helped get this listing taken down, and a special thank you to my top supporters on Patreon, Paige Arlt, Luis Armendariz, and my mom, Kathy Curtin. Love you, Mom.